the Hall of Fame actually announced its 2021 class going in later this year. So there will actually be 2 induction ceremonies. The 2020 class was inducted here in May. The 2021 class will probably go in sometime in September, October. And it was a bunch of names that, like, we all know, right? That's part of the Hall of Fame. Great players, great coaches, great whoever. Paul Pierce is going in. Chris Webber is going in. Chris Bosh is going in. From the college game, Jay Wright is going to be a Hall of Famer, is now officially a Hall of Famer. But this isn't really about Jay Wright because he's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. Instead, what I want to talk about is a man that absolutely needs to be in the Hall of Fame. A man that absolutely deserves to have that honor, to be honored as one of the greatest coaches in the history of basketball in general. And for some reason, the Hall of Fame committee keeps looking over this man. It is time to right that wrong. And the man that I'm talking about is our boy Bob Huggins. And here's the thing. If you just kind of flip on college basketball and you just kind of watch college basketball, you think of Bob Huggins as the guy with the stool on the sidelines and he's yelling and he's screaming. And this year he was pulling down the mask and he had the big red puffy cheeks and he's angry and he's yelling and he's got the little zip up thing on his shoulders and like he's Bob Huggins. He's just a guy. He's just awesome. He's just a great personality. But in reality, Bob Huggins is literally, not figuratively. I know I use the word literally too much. Bob Huggins is literally one of the greatest coaches in the history of college basketball, and it is an abomination that he is not in the Hall of Fame as of right now. And when I show you and talk to you about what he has done, you're going to be blown away. First of all, most important stat of all, Bob Huggins has 900 wins as a college basketball coach. Now, not all of them came at the Division I level, but instead, here is what you need to know about Bob Huggins, where he is at in the all-time wins rankings in the D1 level. 900 wins in total, 870-something as a D1 head coach. And here is the full list of people that are ranked ahead of Bob Huggins. Bob Huggins is 8th all-time in D1 wins. Do you guys realize that? 8th all-time. Before I get to the list, I just don't think the average fan realizes Bob Huggins is 8th all-time in Division I wins. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. And here are the guys who are currently ahead of him on that all-time wins list. Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim, Bobby Knight, Jim Calhoun, Dean Smith, Adolph Rupp, and Roy Williams. That is the entire list of coaches who have more D1 wins than Bob Huggins. Let me read that list again. Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim, Bob Knight, Jim Calhoun, Dean Smith, Adolph Rupp, Roy Williams, and then it's Bob Huggins. That's insane. He is 8th all-time. The 7 guys ahead of him are all in the Hall of Fame. I would mention Roy Williams in his career only has 3 more wins than Bob Huggins. I love Roy Williams. This isn't a disrespect to Roy Williams. Roy Williams got in the Hall of Fame 14 years ago. 14! And Bob Huggins still is not in the Hall of Fame. And to me, it's unjust. It's an abomination because to me, it's not just about the wins. It's where he has done it at. And this is no disrespect to Dean Smith. No disrespect to Roy Williams. No disrespect to Adolph Rupp. No disrespect, by the way, to Bill Self and John Calipari, who are already in the Hall of Fame. But it's one thing to win a lot if you're Roy Williams at Kansas and North Carolina, or North Carolina when you're Dean Smith and you were there for 30 years. It's another thing to do what Bob Huggins has done, which is win at places that it's not necessarily easy to win at. Now, I'm not saying Cincinnati's the worst job in the country because I think actually it's it's a little bit of an underrated job. But West Virginia ain't easy. Cincinnati ain't easy. And certainly Akron and Kansas State, where he also coached, are not easy. So how about this for some stats? First of all, the guy has been coaching as a head coach at the D1 level since 1984, which is insane. Because it's been before I was born. I'm an old man. I got gray hair right now. Bob Huggins has been a head coach since 1984. In all of those years, whatever it is, 36, 37 years as a Division I head coach, there was 1 year between Cincinnati and Kansas State where he did not coach. 3 losing seasons. One of them came in his first season in 1984, 1985, when most of us weren't even born yet. He had a couple down years early at West Virginia. But other than that, every single season has been a winning season. On top of that, like I said, he is doing it at places that it's not easy to win. I'm not saying Cincinnati's the worst job in the country. I'm not saying West Virginia is the worst job in the country. But it ain't, like I said, Roy Williams at Kansas and North Carolina. It ain't Kentucky. It ain't Duke. It ain't UCLA. It ain't Arizona. And Bob Huggins has been incredible there. I know when he got to, first of all, let's go back to the Cincinnati thing for a second. Cincinnati, 4 Sweet 16s, 3 Elite 8s, 1 Final Four. I know on paper that might not sound like, oh my God, that's a no doubt about it Hall of Fame resume. Well, here's the fact. Since he left Cincinnati, they have been to 1 Sweet 16, 0 Elite 8s, and 0 Final Fours. So 4 Sweet 16s, 3 Elite 8s, and a Final Four, 1 Sweet 16 since he left. So don't tell me that that's a great job when nobody can win at the level that he did when he was there. West Virginia, it's a little bit tougher because John Beilein got there 3, 4, 5 years before he did, and West Virginia was a respectable program when he took over. At the same time, you can argue that he has taken them and maintained them at a level that they had never been at before he got there. School has been to a total of 11 Sweet 16s or beyond. 5 of those have come under Bob Huggins. So basically, half of the Sweet 16s in school history are under Bob Huggins, and a bunch of the other ones where they advanced really far, that was way back in the 50s and 60s when they had Jerry West and all those guys. And so I'm bringing it up because these are not easy places to win. And so when I put out on Twitter on Sunday that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, people were like, well, how many Final Fours? Well, how many national championships? It's like, I get it. I understand that he does not have the traditional resume of multiple national championships, this, that, the other thing. What I would also say is he does it at places that are not easy, and he has done it consistently. What did I say? 36 years as a head coach, 33 winning seasons at places that it's not easy to win, and places that, oh, by the way, weren't winning before he got there and don't win after? That should matter. And for people that are saying, first of all, a couple other things. One, it's worth mentioning that just because you don't have the titles doesn't mean you haven't had teams good enough to get there, because his best team we all know was 99-2000 with Kenny Martin, certainly good enough to win a national championship, was the number 1 team in the country all year. Kenny Martin gets hurt in the conference tournament. They end up losing in the second round of the tournament. That was the best team in college basketball by a mile that year. So there's that. He's had other great teams, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. I mean, that's the reality, right? Go back to this March Madness. I think Mark Few's a great coach. I think he's really good at what he does. I don't think we need to hold it against him that he has not won a national championship yet. You can argue Bill Self only having 1 at Kansas is actually kind of a disappointment. So to me, the lack of national championships should not matter. What it is what he does consistently at the schools that he's been at. I don't think he deserves enough. I don't think he gets enough credit. The other thing that I love, he's a real coach. He changes things up. He does the way he coached in the 90s with Cincinnati is a lot different than what he does now. Heck, look at last year. They started the year as this banging, low post, rebounding, physical, tough team with Oscar Tshiebwe and Derek Culver. Oscar Tshiebwe leaves. They turn into guard-oriented, 4-out, 3-point shooting with Miles McBride and Sean McNeil. And so to me, I understand you can't put everybody in every single year, but when you start talking about the all-time greats in this sport, Bob Huggins is a lot higher on that list than you realize. He absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and it is a shame that he has not gotten in